Hi, I'm Dr. Erica Lacher with Springhill Equine and the podcast Straight from the Horse Doctor's Mouth. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about evaluating feet so that you can talk to your farrier about what's going on. Alright, so this video is not on where to safely be around your horse, but it is about feet. So, one of the first things we're going to look at is the coronary band. You can see on Gigi here that her coronary band is nice and flat. It doesn't go like this or like this. It doesn't have waves in it. And we're going to look at that from the front, and we're going to evaluate that from the side. So there should be some slope to it from the side, but it should be relatively straight. The other thing we look at from the front of the foot is that we want the front of the hoof to follow the angle of the pastern in a perfect world. There can be a little bit of a difference to that, but you want this line to be the same slope all the way down. And we're going to come down the center of the coronary band, and that's going to come down the center of the foot, more or less. On horses with unbalanced feet or with wonky conformation, both of these things can happen, you'll see that there'll be more of the foot on one side or the other. And sometimes that's not anything we can do anything about, but it means that this horse may need a shoe in order to counteract what Mother Nature gave us. All right, so now we're going to look from the side. And again, we want to look at that coronary band. You can see that, yes, there's a slope to her coronary band, but it's a straight line slope. It doesn't have a curve to it. It's not wavy. It shouldn't do anything like that. We can now also see the angle of the front of the hoof wall. It doesn't do this, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do anything but follow the angle of her pastern right here. We're also going to look and see she has some growth rings, and most horses do. It just reflects changes in nutrition, grass, climate, all kinds of stuff. But if you look at hers, they are parallel to each other. We don't see that they are narrower at the front and wider at the back. If we see that, that's an indication that we have some laminitis. The other thing you can see is that she has some striations from top to bottom, and those are also following the same angle all the way through. We don't have them at the back curling under. And when we look at her foot from the top down from here, we see that the heel comes down and touches the ground. It doesn't roll under. We're going to see that a little bit better from the bottom. But for right now, just notice that it all comes straight down. If I had one criticism of Gigi's foot, it would be that I would like her to have a little more heel, but that is something that you are born with or not born with, and there's a limited amount farriers can do depending on the cause. But on Gigi, I can tell you, she was born this way. So if we're going to do more with her, we're gonna look at this heel and see if it's something that we need to support a little bit better through shoeing. But again, all of this is, can this horse be barefoot, or do we actually need to put a shoe on this foot to counteract what Mother Nature didn't give us? Okay, the meat and potatoes here at the bottom of the foot. Let's look at what we got. So this foot was literally just trimmed 5 seconds ago. And so we're gonna be able to see some things on this that we can't on a foot that has any amount of dirt on it. But the big thing you wanna look at is this right here is how you know you're at the true heel. You can readily see the bar of the foot coming down right here, and that tells us that this is where the real heel is. You can also see, again, like we talked about on the top, that the heel comes down and is not curled over in this instance. So again, we're at the correct heel. In a perfect world, this point would be at the widest point of the frog, which is right here. So we're off by just a touch. And this is what I mean about Mother Nature giving us things. So Mother Nature says we can't have more than that. So if Gigi was going to be a high performance horse and not the pasture potato she is, we would probably need to look at adding a shoe that came back a little bit to create that support she needs at her feet, at her heel, because her conformation of her hoof won't allow us to do it. But we don't know if that's the case unless we get the foot to the true heel we have here. The next thing we're going to look at is the frog has been cleaned so that we find the true point of the frog as it blends into the sole. And we can also see that we have the sole cleaned up and the wall cleaned up such that we can find where the widest point is. So typically, the widest point of the foot needs to be about 50-50, which Gigi's is, because here's the widest point. See how I just ran my fingers around? That's the easiest way to feel where the widest point is. The tip of the frog is usually about a finger width ahead of that. And that's how we know things are correctly balanced for the foot. The next thing we're going to look at is a line that comes straight down, and the foot should be 50-50, and it is. From the widest point of the foot, we have that same line, and it should be 50-50, and it is, for the most part. Now, horses are always guidelines, so 49-51 is also acceptable. Gigi also has a little tiny toe crack here. Not a big deal, although it can be an indication of white line, so we want to explore those. You'll also notice that she has bruising. That is because prior to her trim, this part of her toe got a little long and put extra pressure on her foot. So now you have a good guideline for proper trim on your horse and how to evaluate it. Combine that with hoof math, that's HOOFMAPP, and you are well on your way to having a balanced, happy foot.